Greetings, Rockland High. This is Mr. Paps here with you. Just wanted to take a minute to talk about what the plan is for our grab and go lunches next week when we switch to the AM and PM schedule. So the first main thing to know is we're not actually going to be serving meals, whether it be lunch, breakfast, or that break snack on campus, either via the cafeteria or those cafeteria pickup windows. Where you're going to want to go is right here behind the cafeteria. There's going to be a pop-up out there, essentially a station where you'll pick up your grab and go meals. Okay, so you can either come from around the main cafeteria building or from the main breezeway. Just notice that this is going to be located here adjacent to the main student parking lot. If you're an AM student, okay, your pickup time is going to be right after school from 10:50 a.m. to 11:10 a.m. That's going to include your lunch for the day as well as your breakfast for the next day. If you're a PM student, please listen carefully. Your pickup time is after your school day ends from 2:35 to 2:55 p.m. And that's going to include your breakfast for the next day as well as your lunch for the next day. All right. Hey, thank you, Rockland High School. Have a good one.
Hi, my name's Patricia, and I'm the Vice President of the Black Student Union. So as you know, we're going to get next Monday off of school, and I just wanted to ask the social studies teacher as to why we have this Monday off. I wanted to ask Mr. Spears why we celebrate Martin Luther King Day on Monday, January 18th.
We celebrate Martin Luther King Day to honor his birthday and his memory. Today, Friday, is his actual birthday. If he was still alive today, he would be 92 years old. So pretty amazing that he could still be alive if that tragic event didn't happen in 1968. The reason why we always celebrate Martin Luther King Day on Monday is the federal government wanted to give a holiday for workers to make sure they always had a 3-day weekend to be able to celebrate his life and legacy.
I wanted to ask Ms. Gillette, when did Martin Luther King Day become a holiday?
It was a struggle, actually, to get Martin Luther King Day officially recognized. It was introduced into Congress about 4 days after his assassination in 1968, but it wasn't signed into law until 1983 and officially started being practiced in 1986. So it was actually like an 18-year process for it to be officially recognized.
I wanted to ask Ms. Knitzer, does everybody in the U.S. celebrate Martin Luther King Day?
All right, great question, Patricia. Does everybody celebrate Martin Luther King Day in the United States? Actually, it was not nationally recognized until 2000. And there's 2 states that actually celebrate Robert E. Lee and Martin Luther King on the same day. Who is Robert E. Lee? Think back to middle school, everybody. He was the commander, one of the commanders of the Confederate Army during the Civil War. So we had a whole war fighting this idea of slavery and stopping slavery. And so now they have taken this commander of the Civil War, Robert E. Lee, and Dr. Martin Luther King, and have a day and they celebrate them together. So it's really, really interesting. And Alabama has actually tried to get rid of the Lee Day, what they call the Lee Day. And it's actually tried to go through the courts a couple of times and hasn't even gone past the committee. They have a petition that has over 20,000 signatures to get rid of it, and it just hasn't happened yet. Robert E. Lee's birthday is on January 19th, and Dr. Martin Luther King is on the 15th, but they celebrate together. Now, Arkansas, another southern state, got rid of it in got rid of Robert E. Lee's day in 2017. And why isn't Alabama and Mississippi following? I'm not sure. But there is your question of, does everybody celebrate? Since 2000, yep.
I wanted to ask Mr. Hardy and Mr. Benzel, what is one thing that they wish everybody knew about Martin Luther King Day?
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that Martin Luther King Jr. actually wrote and spoke a lot about economics. In fact, he kind of viewed at the heart of the struggle was a struggle for economic justice for all people. He decried the great levels of inequality in wealth and income that we have in this country, really levels that persist to this day. In fact, King advocated fighting for economic justice in some very specific ways. He strongly argued for higher minimum wage. He argued for equal access to good jobs with fair pay. And he was especially interested in housing, that people would have the opportunity to have quality and affordable housing. Many people don't know that when King was murdered in Memphis in 1968, he was actually there to start something called the Poor People's Campaign. And he said he recognized that fighting for economic justice would probably be a harder struggle than even voting rights and desegregation. And history's proven him right as we continue to struggle for these things.
If I could take one document, one source of information, one piece that would truly exemplify who Dr. Martin Luther King is, I would choose the letter from the Birmingham jail. It really speaks to his core beliefs. It essentially outlines his civil rights philosophy. It's truly powerful. Looking directly at the document, I think there are two truths that you can grab. One specific thing would be that this document is like a Declaration of Independence for the civil rights movement. It defines the civil rights movement. It also explains the reasons for the civil rights movement, much like the Declaration of Independence does for the colonies. So having said that, the second truth I think that it shows is that it shows the specifics, the organization, the discipline of nonviolent civil disobedience. And it clearly outlines the difference between direct action and a simple peaceful protest. So my challenge to you, ladies and gentlemen, is to actually read the letter from a Birmingham jail. To honor Dr. King, the best way to do that is to get to know who he truly was. And I think this particular document is the one. And most specifically, when you read it, look at all of the sources that he uses. He uses biblical truths. He uses history. He uses the great philosophers. He uses all these individuals and sources of information to put this scene together. It's truly powerful. And as I said before, ask yourself this question: what is the difference between nonviolent civil disobedience and a peaceful protest? So in looking at these two things, I really believe that this document will make you better and help you learn more about Dr. King and his core beliefs.
I wanted to ask some of my fellow students, what is the best way that we can commemorate the memory of Dr. King?
To best commemorate the powerful legacy Martin Luther King left behind, as a society, we must continue to reevaluate our justice system and look within ourselves and each other to extinguish racism, in addition to looking, learning, and continuing beyond the I Have a Dream speech to further our education on racism.
I feel like to best commemorate Martin Luther King Jr., I feel like we should learn more than just the I Have a Dream speech. What led up to this speech, what changes and what happened after this speech, and who helped push his movement forward and who pushed against it.
One of the big things MLK advocated for in many of his speeches was progress, justice, and brotherhood. I think as a society, to fulfill his honor, we have to continue to make changes, no matter how small they are, and cultivate an environment on campus that encourages unity, diversity, and important conversations around these topics.
The best way to commemorate Martin Luther King is not only focus on his I Have a Dream speech, but also the incredible impact that he has made on African American lives and America in general.
While you're enjoying this day off, I challenge you to expand your knowledge on this holiday.